Hello, ActiveSage here on the Sage channel, and as per usual on Thursday, Space Engineers has updated. Now, this week's update has brought us something, well, rather fantastic, frankly. A lot of people, upon seeing last week's update, adding oxygen, wanted to pressurize their hangars, I guess. And myself included, I did try some stuff with the large hangar doors that didn't quite work, obviously. Well, now they've actually added something that actually let you pressurize your hangars. Now, mind you, it's not using pistons and those large blast doors that a lot of people have been using for ages. No, this is using a brand new door block the devs have created. Now, that's it right in front of me. I've just got it on a simple loop with a timer basically every 10 seconds changing it from open to closed. And it acts a lot like your standard door when it comes to pressurization. When it's open, it counts as a depressurization loop, or a hole that air can flow through. When it's closed, it counts as a solid wall. It stops the air from flowing, just like you would expect any door to do. Unlike the actual blast doors, which are blocks that just sort of move about and shift and collide with things. So this is actually not something you can just expect it to collide with something or be severed and broken into little pieces and shifted about, or you can't stick this on the edge of a piston and then try to use it as actually the actual thing along the edges of a blast door to make a proper seal. This is actually its own thing that just functions well on its own. But you can put them next to each other. And you can see the design is pretty cool. It's sort of, well, it's almost like the pistons themselves, the way they have different pieces inside of itself. But you can only make a seal one way, which is facing this way like this. Of course, from the side, it will not seal itself off. And this big room I'm inside right now is just sort of a demonstration of its ability to seal things off. I got vents down below in this area. If I turn my UI on, you can look at the bottom right. This whole room is actually sealed off. And I've gone ahead and used these big doors. I believe they're actually called, yeah, Airtight Hangar Doors. And we can actually go ahead and open this one here, and it'll lead us into airlock. And you see I have a group with all three of the ones in front of me grouped up, and they actually do work from left to right if they're right next to each other, so you can have really big hangar doors. And we can go ahead and tell this door to close again, and as it's closing, walk on by. Its collision mesh seems to be just the model pretty much, or at least it's very, very close to the actual model. And so you can see it'll seal itself off, and this room's pressurized. Now, ideally, remember when you're venting larger compartments or even small compartments, you'll usually want to have a vent set to depressurize those rooms first. That way you're not wasting all the oxygen in there. I don't have that set up, but just imagine we have another vent in there just going to an oxygen tank. That we usually turn this one off and then turn that one on to depressurize this whole room, and then open the door. And then when we come back in, we just use that air from the tank to repressurize the same room. That way we're not wasting oxygen. Anyway, though, for right now, we're just going to vent this room out into space. So you can see the second it starts opening, it counts as that seal being broken, and everything gets tossed out into space. It's a pretty cool setup, though, and I adore these doors, frankly. And anyway, I can go ahead and close it again. And these controls, just in case you're curious, this button on the other side is designed to close those other doors. So if you're out here and you don't know if that other door is closed, you can just hit that a few times. It doesn't open and close, it just closes, and this button just, well, this button does do an open and close, but we're going to hit that one to get that one open after you're sure the other door is open. Just to demonstrate some of the stuff I have talked about, we have these buttons here, and we're going to close this door, and just to show that when it's at a side angle instead of the front on, it will not create a seal. So here we go, door's about to be fully closed, and does it seal the room off? No, it doesn't. We can actually look inside there, and we do have a vent up at the top, and you can see the room is not sealed off. Whereas this one over here, where we have the right way around, and it does look pretty damn awesome, you can go ahead and tell this door to seal, and as it comes down, this room will seal off. And I just came in here because I love the way these doors look. I'll probably end up using these for a lot of stuff. And you see right there, the vent has gone ahead and filled this whole room up. Again, I'm wasting air by doing this. I should really be depressurizing the room first into an air container, but I don't have that set up right now. Pretty damn cool. Now, you can use these for a few other things besides just doors. Of course, you can use them as large hangar doors. I'll get onto that in a minute, but you can also use them as sort of a bridgeway. So right here, I do have two of them set up to make a little bridge, almost like that thing in the Death Star that Luke and Leia jumped across. Of course, I'm not blasting the control panel, I'm just walking across it. Pretty cool. Unfortunately, you can't go all the way across. You can walk up this little gap here, but this one stops you, so you'll have to do a little tiny hop to get all the way up. Pretty cool stuff. Unfortunately, you do have to have both of these connected, otherwise they will not actually be able to communicate to each other. But, I don't know, it's still really awesome to have a little walkway you can extend, and of course you could use this. I don't know why that just happened. It's all still sealed up. Why did that happen? Let's go ahead and connect that again really quickly. So that's just repressurized, and let's cut that again. for some reason it seems to be updating the state of that room every time we do that. Very odd. I wonder if it's actually wasting air. But of course, if these two pieces are disconnected, these two touching each other does not count as communication flow. As you can see, I've hit that button which had the group of both of those connected in it. Now it's only activating one. A little unfortunate, but what do you expect? They're not designed to be connecting blocks. And unfortunately, you also cannot build on top of the ends of them, so you can't use them like pistons, but what do you expect? It's also, I should add, very hard to even aim and target them, as the majority of them, similar to when you're actually looking at a small door and you try to place a block, if you aim at the door moving pieces themselves, they don't count as something you can actually aim at. Same with these moving pieces don't count as anything you aim at. You have to actually aim at the base of the block itself. Moving on from there, let's go ahead and head over here. And we have a few large hangar bays we've set up. Again, you should depressurize these before opening up, but I haven't, just as a demonstration piece. And you can see here we have a bunch of these doors stuck nose to nose, so they make this pretty damn big doorway when they're closed. And well, when they're open, I guess they make a doorway. When they're closed, they make just a massive door. So you can see it's a pretty damn good amount of space. And for most ships, these things are going to be more than adequate. Some mega ships with their giant piston doors might not be too happy to have to cut down their size a bit, but let's be honest, this is going to be good for pretty much every occasion except for those really, really large ships. And let's be honest, with those, if you're fiddling with that many pistons and large blast doors, you're probably going to have your ship blowing itself up half the time anyway. Here's another setup of doors that I thought was pretty cool. If we go ahead and press that, you can see it's using up the same amount of pistons. It doesn't actually allow us to make any sort of bigger door than we otherwise would have been able to have, but it's pretty cool to set it up like this. I could have done the same amount of space here just by running the pistons all the way along the top and the bottom, but I just like the idea of cutting the pistons up and having them in different spots, and who knows, maybe that'll be more useful for your ship. So there's that. Love it, I love it, I love it. And as these close up, can I fit through this little gap? I can. Woo! And you can see this room is pressurizing, pretty cool. And I don't actually have a control panel in here, so let's go ahead and just tweak this panel at the very back then, shall we? Airlock door, I think it was, yeah, the small. I named it small. There we go, tell it to open. And I've decided to open this little door down here at the base and vented everything out in space. That was a bit silly. But you can also, of course, have them on their sides like this. I just love showing off the different things you can do with it, because I love these things. These are probably going to be my new go-to door for a lot of stuff. Now, unfortunately, unlike a piston, where you can have a piston only move partial way, these move all the way no matter what. So you can't just have these open and closing a one-by-one hole that has to basically move up and down the whole loop. So you could just put them up into the ceiling and then have it only one piece of it coming down. What I'm basically saying here, if you're not catching my drift, is set up something like this. And you want to have a doorway just take up this one little hole right here. Usually with a piston, you could have the piston here and just tell it to move only that little tiny bit. With these, they will have to move that full 2 blocks no matter what, but it's a pretty simple fix. All you have to do is put it in like this, and we have to put a block there so we can actually place it. There we go. And it would move down the full length and seal up the door, and it'll still make it look like you have a 1-by-1 little walkway hole right here to go through. And it uses up a lot less space than a piston, let's be honest. Because even with a piston, you still need 2 blocks up there, and then 1 to actually move the block up and down. So it's pretty damn awesome. Let's delete that. Another door setup right here. It's a pretty simple thing. It's the same as the very first one, except for we got multitudes of them right here. So let's go ahead and open this up. And you can see the air gets vented again. A big no-no, especially a huge room like that. But as it opens up, now you can see you'd have a huge amount of space to fly ships in and out of, well, a pretty damn huge hangar. Of course, some of these lights up here might get in the way if you got a bunch of ships flying in, and why else would you have the hangar so high? So maybe I should have put some scaffolding in here to give the idea that you could dock ships up there, but you get the gist of it. It's pretty damn nice. Let's go ahead and seal that off again, just for the heck of it. There we go. I love watching these doors work. They work so well. After seeing pistons and the finickiness that comes along with pistons, because it's basically holding 2 different grids together, so 2 different physics objects with their separate centers of mass. It's nice to see something that just works because it is just counting as a singular block in a way. Okay, and then we have the same thing here, but this is just a demonstration of using these as sort of a blast door or blast shield in front of windows. So you could have your windows set up here, and just whenever you think you're going to go into combat and you're worried about an area being depressurized, go ahead and hit this button, and voila, it'll make them just that little bit safer by allowing you to seal off the exterior of the windows. So after the battle, you can open them back up, long as nothing did pierce through and damage any of the windows. Or the other way around, something might have happened inside your ship and broken a window, so you can seal these off and fix the window without issue. Pretty cool. I love them. I really adore this update so far. It's, well, yeah, it's a great update. I'm loving the oxygen stuff and they're having the big doors and stuff. It's great. I adore it. Anyway, moving back over here, I'm just going to do a real quick demonstration of something else they've added. And that would be they've tweaked turrets a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and put down a turret right here. We'll just do one of these simple little things. Stick it right in the middle. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and look at its control panel, and you'll be able to see that for its targeting options, they've added a few new things. I think in the past maybe it was just small ships and large ships, while they've now added target character and target stations and target moving objects. I believe most of that was already there. So, but you can see they've added a few more things to this, and because they've done that, it was actually too big of a list to fit usually on the controls, so, well, can't actually put that too easily in here. And I mirrored it, but oopsie daisy. But we can see that now, when you were to go ahead and try to put a command, put it down there to give it a command, there's more than would usually fit on the screen, so they've added a scroll bar here. So now you can scroll through your 1,000,001 different options, which can be a bit befuddling and overwhelming, but what else are you going to do? It's still pretty cool to have all these options and stuff. Yeah, I actually suspect in the future we might even see the options to target components, or only target reactors, or only target thrusters. Who knows? If they're going to put scroll lists and stuff in, we could actually end up seeing just an endless selection of stuff, or maybe some sort of GUI menu that'll make it easier in the distant future. Another thing I'm going to show you guys, though, is a bit of a glitch just before we end, and that would be with this thing right here. If we go ahead and remove these, you would think we would have just depressurized that airlock, because look at that, there's very clearly a gap right there. We can even fly the camera right through there. But if we were to look, the area is still pressurized. This is something to do with these working together. I'm not exactly sure, but I know if I open this one, like if I was to go ahead and just replace all the blocks right here with a solid wall, and you can see everything is still pressurized. If I was just to open the center one, I can simulate opening the center one by just deleting it, you'll notice that everything will be vented out the side. Actually, I can't delete it, can I? Because I can't get to a good enough spot where I can actually aim at it, can I? Maybe right here, there we go. So I can delete that one. You'll notice that everything is depressurized and it's going straight out that little gap. So somehow having that block in the center is allowing it to count as a seal, even though there's very clearly just a gap right here. And you might be saying, okay, well, that's clearly happening just because this little opening right here, this triangular opening, isn't counting as a gap, but this full thing is right here. Maybe that is a possibility. We can test that over here on this one. Deleting this center one right here, there we go, and sealing it back in, and now we can test that theory just by opening this door right here. So let's go ahead and bring ourselves over to that side of the base, and open up that door, and it's also going to open up this one, and if that theory is correct, they shouldn't be venting out. Oh, well, it's not venting out, so that's it. It's apparently not counting this little tiny triangular opening as a proper gap. So really, all we need to make one of these doors work is we don't need all three right now. We just need... Well, actually, no, that counted as a depressurization. So yeah, I don't know. It's a bit finicky. It's a bit finicky. Well, maybe it's because there's a whole gap there. I don't know. Let's go ahead. Just a real quick test. We're going to go ahead and place a block right here, seal that back up, and does that pressurize now? It does not. So something about having a middle block there. This block, because it allows air to flow from side to side, is allowing stuff to flow through here and then back through here. But these little slanted blocks, the real finicky thing is they're not counting as a full, or they are counting as a full stop for oxygen apparently, even though they have this little slant right here that should allow oxygen to come through. Very odd. It's this block right here that I use, the light armor slope. Anyway, guys, that's it. I just thought I'd point that out. A bit finicky. Only real finicky thing I've run into. They're pretty awesome doors. And even ideally, I would have gone ahead and set one of these up with the door upside down, like, oops, well, now I've vented the whole room, like this. There we go. And then we could have the doors opening in different directions, and then you can just walk across this. I have checked you can. But I didn't have that set up. I'm not going to poke around at it right now. Anyway, guys, that's it for this update. I think I've covered most everything. It's pretty cool being able to set this stuff up. You can, of course, use these doors to cover your engines and stuff during combat. Maybe you have bigger engines you want to shut down, or sensors or who knows what, you just want to seal off during combat, you can go ahead and close doors. But if you're doing engines, make sure you shut the engine off first. You're just going to blast through your own door. And guys, that's it. Thank you a bunch for watching. I hope you found this informative and at least somewhat entertaining. And I shall see you guys next time. Ta-ta.